Welcome back to another Evolution video. My name is Fiber and today we're going through the evolution of CSGO. Before we get into the video, let me know down in the comments down below when you started playing CSGO and your overall thoughts on the game. If you didn't know already, CSGO, short for CounterStrike Global Offensive, it's a first-person shooter video game, a part of the CounterStrike series, developed by Valve and Hidden Path Entertainment. Its main game mode is a 5v5, where two teams compete in multiple rounds of objective-based game modes, with the goal of winning the most rounds to win the match. But I'm sure you knew this, CSGO is one of the biggest games in esports history. To look at the evolution of CS, we need to look at where it came from. 1999, the original Counter-Strike was made. Well, not as a full-fledged game, but as a mod for Valve's other game, Half-Life. Min Lee and Jess A. Cliff thought up the idea of multiplayer matches on closed territory. One side being terrorists and the other side being, well, counter-terrorists. The initial game mode was hostage rescue and later added bomb defusal. These would become the main game modes and scenarios in future Counter-Strike games. As soon as this mod was released to the public, it gained popularity insanely quickly. It was simple to grasp, but it was endlessly sophisticated. Anyone could understand and play the game, but only a few could unlock the full potential brought from this game. Valve noticed an impressive amount of players active on the Counter-Strike mod and decided on buying the mod and releasing it as a standalone game in the year 2000. Counter-Strike. There were quite a few changes in comparison to the mod. After a while, on the 8th of November 2000, the final version of the game had been released, known as CounterStrike 1.6, still available for purchase on the Steam store today. CounterStrike 1.6 was essentially the foundation of the CS esports tournaments. CS was released on the Xbox at around 2003. Unfortunately, the console scene had already been dominated by games such as Halo and Call of Duty, having extremely different movement mechanics. 2004. Counter-Strike Condition Zero. This included a story mode as well as the traditional multiplayer mode. This was essentially a retexturized version of 1.6 that underwent a bunch of reworks on account of third-party developers. Only 8 months after the release of Condition Zero, Valve released probably one of their most controversial games, Counter-Strike Source. The community had complained that it just didn't feel like Counter-Strike. Although the graphics were way better, the changes added to improve the quality of life ended up doing the exact opposite. 1.6 players did not enjoy it at all. The game supposedly felt like plastic. The movement and recoil weren't as good as it used to be. This split the community in two. 1.6 players who won't abandon the old ways, and new Source players who don't mind and are just used to how the game is. After nearly a decade of Valve neglecting one of their most popular FPS games, watching the community battle in this civil war, they finally blessed them with a full-fledged Counter-Strike title in 2012, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, a place where 1.6 players and Source players would find peace. Or so that's what they thought. When CSGO initially released, the game, according to others, sucked. CSGO was imbalanced, filled with bugs and very bad mechanics. People believed that it would completely kill the Counter-Strike franchise. Now, esports plays a huge part in the success of CSGO. More specifically, a team called Ninjas in Pajamas. They dominated the CS esports scene, winning game after game after game. They were pretty much unstoppable. Sick and tired, other teams decided to participate in the tournaments in attempts to show that they're better than NMP. While all of this was going on, the actual game, CSGO, had improved a lot in the first few months of release, becoming way more playable in such a short amount of time. Pair this up with the first big CSGO tournament, DreamHack in 2013, CSGO had made its mark on the esports scene, but this was just the start. By 2014, CSGO had become everything the community had hoped for, resulting in a bunch of legendary moments. The game's player base had skyrocketed. Some of this is due to what they added in late 2013. One of CSGO's most important feature to this day, skins. These cosmetics became way too popular, so much that they ended up forming their own market, where players can buy and sell skins for real money. The most expensive right now, going around for $150,000. Jumping over to the end of 2014, CSGO had become a game bigger than anyone could have imagined. From players hating it to having millions active, there was no stopping it. Until Valve made some questionable additions to the game. Like in late 2015, there was the R8, an extremely OP revolver which caused a riot in the game before it was nerfed, as well as the AWP nerf, slowing the player's movement a lot more when scoped in, changing many of the most popular AWP spots. Making reworks to such an infamous gun that is also such a big part in the competitive scene had gotten the community raging. In order for CSGO to keep growing like the way League has, they would need to overcome a lot of obstacles. There were many scandals like cheating and skin gambling. Speaking of that, by 2016, skin gambling was a $1 billion industry. That's right, billion. This resulted in a bunch of lawsuits towards Valve for condoning underage gambling. Although CSGO was doing insanely well, supposedly Valve didn't seem to care about the game's success. They instead were focusing on another game, Dota, constantly upgrading the game and even hosting a multi-million-dollar tournament. Dota had everything going for it. On the other hand, CSGO was slowly going back to how it was before, a mediocre, broken game. The community didn't give up though. A new generation of competitive players who had gotten used to the game's mechanics perfectly had risen up, still pushing and carrying the game in the competitive scene. January 2018, potentially one of the most legendary moments in gaming history. 5 Cloud9 CS pros put on a performance that shattered one of Twitch's biggest viewership records. The champions of E-League Major, defeating FaZe Clan 2-1. Potentially the peak of CSGO forever.
Saw from this position before. He cannot miss a single shot. Guardian waits patiently as Cloud9 sets the push up. Oh, it's happened! They made it work! Cloud9 are your E-League Major champions!
A few months after E-League Major in Boston, CSGO was released on Steam for free, completely free, introducing the game to a whole new bunch of players. The Danish team Astralis became the top team in CSGO and one of the best teams in CS history, winning London 2018, Katowice 2019 and Berlin 2019, becoming the first team to win 3 majors in a row, which is insane. After Berlin, ESL 1 Rio was meant to take place in May 2020, which was then postponed to November due to COVID. But about 2 months before that, they had cancelled the whole major and haven't had one since. COVID really messed up CSGO on the esports side. Back when Valorant released, many people had concerns for CSGO, saying that this new game will completely dominate the space and leave CSGO in the dust. But this did not happen. In fact, CSGO had reached its peak concurrent player count in March 2021, more than 1 million players on Steam. Although COVID messed up CSGO on the esports side, it really helped out on the game's multiplayer. Now, this evolution was not like the typical ones we do. The evolution of CSGO is not like other games. CSGO is built off esports. The competitive scene is the reason why CSGO is so big today. It's a low graphics, simple game that will go down as one of the most prestigious FPS games in history. Let me know down in the comments what you think will come to the future of CSGO. Will there be another big event after the one in Boston? And while you're at it, you might as well leave a like and share this video with a friend. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in another Evolution video.